7 Reasons Why Women Dating an Older Man. Over 100 years ago, Oscar Wilde commented that the tragedy of old age is not that one is old, but that one is young. Paradoxically, the more we age physically, the more many of us feel young. Is that what happens when a woman dating an older man? Are women attracted to older men? All of us are highly aware of our age. It doesn't just mark the passage of time, though. Each decade comes with different social expectations and judgments. This complexity makes it very hard to fully extricate why women date older men. In some cases, young women wanting older men is shocking to many if the age gap is too large. Although, who are we to judge? People should be free to live their lives as long as the relationship is consensual and not hurting anyone. Nonetheless, how often do these large age gap relationships occur? According to SciComm, Western countries only have 8% of heterosexual couples with a 10-year or more gap. That's less than one person for every 10 that you know. Most importantly, there doesn't seem to be a perfect age gap when dating an older man. Every relationship has its ups and downs. In terms of young women wanting older men, they might need different tips. So, how do you reconcile differences in life goals or too much discrepancy between finances? Tips for dating an older man should also include how to handle health issues. Everything will most probably fall onto the shoulders of the younger partner. Such challenges can be overwhelming for younger women. They're often still figuring things out at that stage in their lives. So, often a relationship therapist can be invaluable. Despite any challenges, like any other relationship, dating an older man can be highly fulfilling. So, do girls like older guys? Yes, in most cases, according to the data, as we'll see shortly. Even so, the reality of the actual age gap is more complicated. 7 Reasons Why Women Love Dating an Older Man. Are women attracted to older men? This age-old question is difficult to answer because of the complexity of choice. Some argue that we're programmed by our cultures and backgrounds, so the choice is an illusion. Others tell you that we all have a choice in how we respond to circumstances. To complicate matters, we are all victims of unconscious bias. As one article on trophy wife stereotypes demonstrates, perhaps the wide age gap people talk about is selective bias. Then again, this more recent study, although limited to Finland, shows that the majority of couples are only a few years apart in age. Nevertheless, even with those couples, the majority have the man as the older partner. So, what attracts a younger woman to an older man? Any of the following are potential reasons, but it's impossible to generalize, because each partnership has its own beliefs and attitudes to life. 1. Evolutionary genes? From an evolutionary point of view, the question why women date older men can be answered by our reproductive capacities. As this article on the mating game discusses, women are at their fertility peak in their 20s. According to the article, men favor fertility over youth, even if this is subconscious. Although, you'll see that the article further discusses an opposing view of that theory. It's conceivable that we actually prefer people similar to us. As you can see, there is no clear-cut answer or even opinion as to why dating an older man is right for some women. It depends on the context and the people involved. 2. Greater life experience. For many women, the joy of a partnership is to explore life and make mistakes together. Nevertheless, for some women, dating older men gives them the support they crave. This Guardian article on why girls fall for older men summarizes an intriguing conclusion by zoologist Stephen Prue. His theory is down to genetic strength. In other words, if an older man can flaunt a flashy car along with a superb apartment and all the right clothes, he must be doing something right. On the flip side, subconsciously, most of us doubt a young man can keep such shows of wealth going for long. Think of it like a peacock parading his bright feathers. If he's still got them during the later stages of life, then his genes must be amazing. We'll leave it up to you if you feel the mating game is just a jungle game. 3. The other woman? Do girls like older guys? Some like to assume that those boys cheat less than younger ones. The data shows otherwise. According to the Institute for Family Studies, men cheat more as they enter their 50s and 60s, and even 70s. For women, it's the 60s. So, could some cases of older men with younger women blossom from an affair? Of course, no one should judge without knowing the particular situation. Nevertheless, if you're one of those young women wanting older men, don't assume they'll be faithful. All relationships take work and commitment regardless of the age gap. 4. More power and confidence. If you're in the older men dating game, perhaps you're fed up with dealing with immature boys in their 20s or even 30s. The age depends on your age and how wise you feel about life. Nevertheless, dating an older man can feel like bathing in a halo of assurance and influence. Older men are generally more senior in their careers, and they know how to make things happen. No more sitting in queues waiting to be served at the top restaurants and hotels. 5. Greater stability. Perhaps younger women and older men go well together because of the roles we play according to society's rules. After all, most of us live in a patriarchal culture that primes us to believe that men are the providers. So, by definition, older men will have had more time to sort out their careers, to then be able to provide for women. Or perhaps not? As we've mentioned, studies show that most partnerships are actually closer in age. This suggests that women who do go for older men are potentially searching for stability sooner rather than later. 6. Wiser and more grounded. Do women like older men? Some women do, but it's hard to summarize such a complex choice into just age. Those who are attracted to older men often see someone who's more comfortable with themselves and who knows what they want in life. This is further supported by a fascinating BBC article on the prime of your life. Despite our mental and creative capabilities declining when we hit our 40s, our social reasoning and life satisfaction both increase. We are essentially in a better relationship with our emotions, and the average person is happiest in their 60s. How can all of this not attract the tumultuous young to the concept of dating an older man? 7. Commitment friendly. Women dating older men often feel that their older partners are more committed. It makes sense if you consider the previous point that we feel most content with life when we hit our 40s and even our 60s. That's not to say that younger men can't be committed. Nevertheless, older people seem to emit a halo of joy that's difficult not to get drawn into. As the study demonstrates by analyzing not just couples but also dating trends, men and women don't normally end up with their age preferences. Notably, the so-called bargaining process is heavily influenced by the fact that men make 90% of first moves. Moreover, we are necessarily impacted by society's rules and the implication that women should be more subdued. Of course, many of us women are fighting back against that stereotype. Nevertheless, it still exists today. The study concludes that if we refer to partner discovery rather than partner choice, relationships are a compromise of different desires, with men still leaving the opening. So, perhaps women are not as attracted to older men as simply falling for their advances and tactics.